Welcome back. In our last lesson, we started learning about JavaScript arrays. And in this lesson, we're going to go ahead and continue right where we left off, and we're going to go ahead and focus on the length property and how we can add elements to our array. So to get started, if you can go ahead and go into your project folder, then if you go into the 17b-arrays2 folder and the start subfolder, if you can open up main.js, then in your browser, if you can open up index.html, you should see arrays on the page. So since an array is a type of object, it does have some of its own properties, and one of these properties is .length, and this is pretty common, something you may utilize quite often. The .length property is used to return how many elements are in your array. So for example, if I do console.log and I do array.length, if we go ahead and save and refresh, we should see that our array has 6 elements and it aligns with what we declared up here. And then so finally, as I mentioned, our array is not immutable, so we can add additional elements to our array. And there are a few different ways to do this. The first is we can use one of the built-in methods called push, and this will add an item to the end of our array. So to see this in action, what we'll do is we'll do array.push, and let's go ahead and just add 5 as a string. And then what we'll do is let's go ahead and console log our array length, and we'll also just console log our array. So if we save and refresh, you'll see our array now has 7 elements, and in our array we can see our string is added to the end of our array. In addition to using the push method, we can also use the length to go ahead and add new elements to our array. And how this works is we can do array, and then we would use our brackets to refer to an index. And so if we do array.length, what this will do is, in our case right now, it's going to return 7. However, because arrays always start with the index of 0, index 6 is the last element in our array. So if we reference 7, that element doesn't exist, and so we'll be adding a value by that index. So what we can do is I'm just going to go ahead and do 7 here as a string. And what we'll do is let's add our 2 console log statements, and we'll go ahead and save and refresh and expect our array. So you'll see right away we now have 8 elements, and we can see our string is at the end of the array. So one thing that is important to know is that since we can reference an index in our array that doesn't exist, if we specify a high enough index and set an item to it, then our array will have holes in it. So as an example, let's go ahead and copy this here, and I'm going to go ahead and change this to 10, and I'll go ahead and do 10 as a string. Let's go ahead and copy these 2 lines here and save and refresh, and we'll see what happens. So right away we can see something completely different happened, and what happened is we had 8 elements in our array, and then all we did is we added 1. However, the length of our array jumped to 11. And the reason for that is because we accessed the 10th element, and you'll see that we have these 2 empty spaces in our array. So if we expand our array, you'll see that we have 5, 6, 7, and then 10. So this is important to know because you can add items to your array this way. However, it's not recommended that you do this.